I've had a little realization that you're not a real cook if you don't do this. And when I say real cook, I mean like you don't cook if you don't do this often. Butter is something that cooks use a lot in restaurants. You are no stranger to that knowledge if you've seen like any peek of a video on like what goes on in restaurants, especially on my channel. So yeah, of course, that's why things taste good in restaurants, right? So this is why today's topic is about why butter should be left out if you cook. If you don't cook, then totally forget about it. It's fine. But if you do cook, leave your butter out. And the reason why I say if you do cook, that's because you don't want to leave the butter out too long. Now, I will say, when I was working on a very busy line, the butter would get refilled probably twice a day. And when I say it would get refilled, I'm talking about a container that is this deep, probably like square like this. It's called a 6-pan, a deep 6-pan. And that would get filled up with butter sometimes twice a day. And then we fill it back up again, cover it, and leave it out overnight for the next guy coming in the morning, or me if I'm back there the next day. Now, this is what I do. I have a little butter dish and I keep one stick in there. This one stick will probably last me a couple days, and that's being generous. Sometimes it can go in one day. It really depends. But look, I cook. I cook a lot. Obviously, duh. Like, I make a living cooking at home. The freaking dream, by the way. But this is why I'm saying if you cook a lot, leave your butter out, because your butter, it's probably gonna be good for like, I'd say about a week. After that, it might start to lose its quality. And also keep in mind, I live in Seattle where it's more moderate temperature. It's not very hot here. It's not very hot here like my home back in Texas where I'm from, very hot. If you leave the butter out like on a summer day, which is right now, it's gonna melt. So I'm not sure if I could really recommend you leave your butter out in Texas. I don't know, unless your air conditioning is really good, then sure, go for it. If your butter begins to melt, then maybe don't do that. Now let's talk about drawbacks and reasons why you shouldn't keep it in the fridge and you should leave it out. Here's a little thing. The butter in your fridge. It will start to get the odors of the fridge if it's in there long enough. My fridge doesn't have that situation that most fridges have, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where if refrigerators have like a little butter drawer, or like a flippy out thing, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if that saves it from the odors, but that's probably for that purpose, because it can get those odors over time. So I guess you could just maybe put some baking soda in your fridge to possibly prevent that. Put it in an airtight container. I want it to be ready to go. I want this butter to be easily accessible. I don't want to have to plan ahead and say like, oh, let me pull out this butter tonight so it's ready for tomorrow. I want it to just be ready. I'm always ready to go. I don't need to put it in the microwave or do some weird like butter softening hack. No, I'm just ready to go. Now here's another thing. I use unsalted butter. Pretty much every other cook uses unsalted butter because we want to control the amount of salt that we put into things. Now, bakers, on the other hand, we always clash on this with bakers. Bakers always use salted butter. I don't know why, that's just what bakers do. But the benefit to having salted butter is if you leave salted butter out, it's gonna be able to hold longer. And when I say longer, I mean it can hold probably about 5 times longer. The reason being is the salt acts as a preservative, and it's going to preserve that butter, that fat, for much longer. Now, why is it that I can leave the butter out? The reason is it's fat with a low moisture content. So it's prone to not growing bacteria. Now, of course, keep your butter in a container, keep it airtight if you can. They also make these airtight like butter crocks that you put water in, so they'll stay fresher longer. And the benefit is it's just ready to go. You could spread it on toast if you want. It's just good to go. Now, you can also check your butter if it's bad. Check for spoilage. Obviously, an off odor, like a sourness, then you're bad. You know, throw it away. Not you're bad, the butter's bad. You get my point. The butter can also discolor. Like if you cut into it, you'll notice like a layer of discoloration around the center. That's when you know like maybe it's time to let that butter go. It's been out for too long. To be honest, I don't really care. I still use it anyway and I'm fine. But that's just my recommendation. Just toss it if it gets to that point. There are some forms of cuisine like Ethiopian cuisines that do butters that are fermented. That's a whole other thing, another video. But this was just a quick topic I wanted to go over. Thanks to my buddy Benji, he just told me maybe I should talk about different topics that I feel strongly about. And I don't know, let me know if you want me to do more of these. There's so many topics I'm strongly about, especially in the condiment sector. Yeah, that's it.